Well, it's the day after Boxing Day, and there's still more football going on. Let's get into it. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from tonight. Today, it's two friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. That's Sean. He supports Tottenham. This is the North London edition of Red Card Radio. We got rid of those West London frauds, and we don't associate with Chelsea supporters anymore. But yeah, what's up, Sean? How you doing? How was your Christmas? Did you have an enjoyable Boxing Day?
Christmas was fine unto itself. It was the surrounding fixtures that was the bother.
Yeah.
It's a rough week to be a Spurs fan.
Yeah, I mean, you had that thriller in the League Cup about a week ago, and then at the weekend it was tough. And then, I mean, to be fair, you guys have scored a lot of goals over the last week. In 3 games, I think it's like 9 goals or something like that? 8 goals maybe?
If you don't count the Forest game.
Yeah. So, but it's all good.
No, it's not.
It's all good for me.
But, yeah, it's great for you.
So,
I think we're just a middle table team. I think that's it.
We'll get into that because I'm not sure you are. But if you're new here, if you're just joining us, if you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell. If you're on YouTube, if you're on one of the podcast sites, hit it with a follow, 5-star review. Comments are now up on Spotify, so all that good stuff really does help us out tremendously. The biggest thing you can do, watch to the end and hit the share button for us, or just leave it running in the background. And then when you think about it, hit the share button. That works for us too. Whatever floats your boat really does help us out. So we have kind of a truncated episode. The episode won't be truncated, but the contents will be, essentially we're doing 2 episodes in one, so it'll actually be a longer episode. Hopefully not too long for you to deal with, but we're going to talk about match week 17, which was the previous weekend fixtures. We'll cover a little bit about Boxing Day, since there are still 2 games to play in round 18 as of when we are recording this. Maybe when you're listening, the Brighton and Brentford game and the Arsenal-Ipswich game have already happened. But then we're also going to look forward to the weekend games that start on Sunday, round 19, that is. So that those go through Sunday, Monday. They skipped Tuesday because it's New Year's Eve, but there is the one New Year's Day game. So that's what we got covered for you. I think next week we're probably back to normal schedule. We'll have a review and a preview and all that good stuff, but these holiday periods, little wild. I don't know if you guys can tell with the ambient light in our rooms right now, but it's not the nighttime when we're recording this. So a little bit different for you. Maybe we'll be more awake and more at it. But without further ado, I think we jump in first and foremost to our picks, our points, all that stuff, all those things that we've been doing since the beginning of the season. We had quite a few respondents in weeks 17 and 18. Also have a new respondent, Manchester United supporter, interestingly enough. So this is the first Manchester United supporter who's like really actively reared their head in the Red Card Radio ecosystem, which is quite dangerous, I think. This is not a friendly place to Manchester United supporters, just generally speaking. Maybe not the supporters themselves, but definitely the club. This is not a Manchester United friendly.
Trash.
Yes, straight refuse.
Yes.
But so we're really only going to go over round 17 because that's what's completed. Again, as we're recording this, 2 games left to play in round 18, the Boxing Day fixtures. So with that, round 17, we had 3 people with 6 correct picks. That would be Brad, Jimmy, unsurprisingly, Jimmy and Jack, let's be honest. And then new respondent, Meg, the resident United supporter, though she picked United and got no points there. Just throwing that out there. Still got 6 other correct picks. So if we look at the overall standings at this point, Jimmy is far and away in the lead. He's at 91 points. Still hanging in there at second is Sean. He's still at 88 points. And Brad is right on his coattails at 87 points. If Brad was here, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm catching you. Oh, I'm going to get you." Whatever Brad would say.
But he's going to.
He's not here. Well, just pick better and he won't.
I'm trying.
Speaking of picks, and this is how we'll segue into your thought about whether or not your team is any good or a mid-table team. I keep picking Spurs. You keep picking Spurs because we expect them. I look at this Spurs team and I think they've got a decent squad. They should be winning matches. Now it's kind of a throwaway against Liverpool. Liverpool are incredible this year. They're just really good. That's why they're first in the Premier League. That's why they're first in the Champions League. So like they're just a really good team this year. If the odds I'm sure are saying that Liverpool are going to win the league, which I wouldn't bet against at this point. But so you had the big game against Liverpool at the weekend, lost 3-6, which is an incredible football scoreline. So for any neutrals that just turned the TV on and were like, let's watch a soccer game.
I messaged that this weekend I am tired of playing games that a neutral would really enjoy. I'm tired of that. We play a lot of those games.
You didn't have one on Boxing Day. I'm just saying.
No, a neutral would not have enjoyed that game.
But we both, I think Spurs are a good team. I think that they are a legitimate Champions League caliber team. Now, when we look at the table, that's not where they're at right now. I'm not even sure where Spurs are at on the table. I'm going to have to pull it up.
That's because if you're looking at a table that only shows the top half and the bottom half, we're on the other one.
Yes, I had to scroll down.
That's why you can't find us, yeah.
So they're 11th. How many points off fourth are you? 10. Is that right? And a game in hand for fourth. Ooh, it could be 11 points after Arsenal played today. That's a lot of points. Granted, still have 20 games left to play, so it's not insurmountable. But and you have a lot of teams to get in front of as well. That's the bigger thing, is not necessarily the raw point totals, but the raw point totals plus 6 other teams in front of you, or 7 actually.
This is what happens when you rock into a season with 3 registered center backs on the roster. So.
Yeah, that was, I think, a tactical error on the part of Levy and or Postecoglou. I'm not really sure who to lay the blame on. I'm sure Postecoglou was like, I need more center backs.
Yeah, I know where to place the blame, and it's on the same. The blame has not left its original position.
It's always on Levy,
solely on Levy.
So what are Spurs playing for then at this point? Are we in a cup run? Are we trying to win the Europa League? Are we trying to win the FA Cup, Carabao Cup? Like, is it just like put all the eggs in the cup basket at this point?
If you were to ask Ange, he wants to win every game that we play every time.
Sure. Yes, I agree. So does Arteta.
That is the goal. But yeah, we got it. This is one of the James classic scenarios the fake scenarios that you put to us. Are you okay to finish 11th, but you win a trophy?
It depends on what the trophy is, I think. If it's the Europa League, you're all in.
So, wait, let me while I stall, let me look at where we are in the Euros.
I'm sure you guys are in a decent position to qualify. Like, you're certainly in the top half of the table, so you're definitely going to get into the play-in round at least. Into the round of 24 or whatever it's called.
We are just outside of getting the bye.
So you're like, what position are you?
We're ninth.
Ninth, with 2 games left to play, I think. How many games have you played? 8?
We have match played 6. So yeah, we have 2 more games.
Is it 8 games or 10 games in the league?
I think it's 8.
8, and then 10 would be if you go into the round of 24. Okay, yeah. So 2 games left to play. You certainly could. You pick up 6 points. I almost guarantee you have a bye, right?
Yeah.
And who knows who you're playing. Honestly, it's probably immaterial. But
so the 24th team is Elfsborg. So yeah, I think we're okay.
Yes, and even if you do play in the round of 24, I think you probably should, on paper, breeze through that. Now it's more fixture congestion and all that stuff in late January, early February. So like that's not ideal, but you should, I think, progress. So like I think here's what I'm offering you. You finish 9th, finish 8th, and you win the Europa League. I think every Spurs fan is biting the hand to take that.
Yeah, because we make it in the Champions League.
Exactly. Honestly, honestly, I think if you offered Spurs fans the Carabao Cup and finishing 8th, you guys would probably take that.
Yeah, we got to come home with some hardware this year.
Like, if you win a trophy, that is a market change over what Tottenham have done over the last 15 years, whatever it is. I don't know the numbers.
Unfortunately, we're going to have a 2-leg stint where 18 goals are scored between White Hart and Anfield, apparently.
Quick aside, in the EFL Cup, Arsenal drew Newcastle, and Liverpool and Spurs will face off. So those should be some tasty semifinals. We could have a North London final. Just saying.
Yeah, we could. I was going to complain, but when there's 4 teams left, it's 4 good teams. It doesn't really matter who you're playing. I would have preferred Newcastle, but
yeah, of course,
hey, out of the 3, everybody's tough. So it's.
I'm not sure I necessarily would have preferred any one team over another. I think it would have been fun to have 2 extra North London derbies this year, but I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. Newcastle are an incredible team. Liverpool are an incredible team. Spurs, I think, are an incredible team. So it would have been tough either way.
Yeah, 4 North London derbies with a possibility. Sure. No one's played in the FA Cup. A possibility of a 5th.
That would have been
really actually a possibility of a 5th or 6th should we have tied in the FA Cup.
True. Could have had a replay.
A replay, yeah.
Could have had a replay.
6 North London derbies in 1 year would be pretty.
Probably would have been record setting. Probably would have been record setting. I think we're still on pace to have 4 or 5 should we meet in the final of the. If we meet in the final of the EFL Cup, that'll get us to 3, and if we meet in the FA Cup and then have a replay, that would be 4 and 5. Or we could just have North London derby finals at Wembley and just EFL Cup final, FA Cup final.
Yeah, let's do it.
Handing Spurs 2 consecutive cup final losses at Wembley would be really fitting for North London.
A good microcosm of the season.
If we want to turn our attention slightly from Spurs to the champions, Manchester City are on a torrid run of form. In their last 12 games in all competitions, they have 1 win and 3 draws. This is probably the worst run of form that Pep Guardiola has. It certainly is the worst run of form that Pep Guardiola has ever experienced in his managerial career. And so, are City in a legitimate top 4 battle? Like obviously, I think City are out of the title conversation. I don't necessarily think that you can overcome that kind of run. I mean, I kicked Spurs out of the top 4 out of the title conversation last year when you lost like 2 games out of 4 or something, like whatever your run was in November last year. I was like, well, Spurs can't recover from that. And this City run is even worse than that. So I don't see how City can recover from that and still challenge Liverpool.
Yeah, they're 14 points off Liverpool, so
which is incredible. And Liverpool have a game in hand. So it could be 17
and
points.
Have a game.
You have to assume, because it's against Everton, you have to assume they're going to win that game, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm kind of at this point, I think Arsenal are a little far. So where are City at? We're talking about Spurs in a good position for Europa League. City are in kind of a precarious position for the Champions League. I think they're kind of in the lower half of the round of 24 position. So they have another slip up. Could you imagine a world where City are out of the Champions League after the group phase, after the league phase, excuse me? Like that would be incredible.
It's pretty incredible. They are sitting. Got to scroll.
Yep. Got to scroll.
Wowzers, not finding them. Oh wow, they are 22nd.
Yeah, and that's insane.
They are surrounded by Celtic, Eindhoven, Zagreb, and PSG, which is fun.
PSG, wow. PSG are also having a torrid season. So, like, what do we do with this City? Like, are they in the top 4 battle? They have to be in the top 4 battle, right?
Well, I keep saying that it can't be just Rodri.
Yeah.
Right. There has to be something. There's no reason that one player going out of because they're not missing anybody else.
Yeah.
that one player going out of the lineup has caused all this. I know he's a Ballon d'Or winner, but like let's be honest, it can't be one player. There's 11 players on the pitch.
Yeah.
One shouldn't tank your season like this.
Yeah.
So something else is awry.
And it's not like we would necessarily look at them and be like, oh, they've been figured out, because like everyone has known for the last 10 years how Pep Guardiola plays football. It's no question.
It's 7 championships. Yeah.
But even still, beyond this, it's not like he revolutionized the way he played football when he came to City. He's been playing the same football essentially at Munich, at City, at Barcelona. And so like he's been doing the same thing. And so it's not like it's new or so we have to figure it out. I think that they, and I know you push back on the aging squad thing, but I think they have an aging squad. I think that they have played almost every game in the last 5 seasons. Like this is a team that's played 65 plus games every year for 4 or 5 years now. There's just a point where you hit a wall, and this might just be the wall that they've hit, and like they aren't going to be able to produce like they've produced over the last 4 or 5 years. And on top of that, I think that there's probably a psychological aspect to it that it's like, dang, like we're out of the hunt in the league. Like, so it's harder to emotionally get up for those games. And when someone punches you in the mouth in the league, because everyone still wants to punch you in the mouth because you're City, it's harder to recover from that. Like, it's just like there's a mental fatigue.
Yeah. And I think it probably has a little bit to do, this is more of an NFL analogy, but a while back, the running back was the king. So teams would get enormous defensive linemen, enormous linebackers, and they would just stack the box and prevent the running back from doing running back things. And then everybody decided, okay, if you're going to do that, then I'll just throw the ball.
Yeah.
So then the defenses, it took a while to adjust, but then they got longer, leaner, taller linebackers who can cover, and they're fast. And now we're shifting back to the running back.
Yep.
You see a shift backwards. I wonder if it took the league a little while to get the players. If City's going to be there every year, we've got to get players that can deal with City.
Okay.
And it takes a while to get to where we have what we need. Maybe we're at a point where maybe not bar for bar, but most teams have enough players that can deal with them a little bit. And maybe it's going to take a chess move by Pep to do something different that teams then need to adapt to. That's where my mind goes, is maybe the league has finally adapted to Pep's world. And now we live in a world where even Bournemouth have players that can deal with City.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. City certainly find themselves in a predicament. Now, they of course have this looming legal decision that's going to be hanging in the air. If City get docked 30 points or something like that, because of it's funny because we all thought coming into this with the charges with the 115 that even if City, they would have had to been docked like 60 points or something like that to get relegated. But now we're in a world where if they're docked like 30 points, like there is a legitimate world where they could get relegated.
If
now,
they
of course,
docked 30 points, they would be at -2 right now.
Exactly. That's my point. And so, like, there is a world where everyone's dream comes true and City are in League Two. Maybe not Trey's world, because Trey's our resident City supporter and he would, but of course there's going to be like legal challenges and pushback and all this stuff and the other. And so like could you imagine a world where, because Manchester United are a dumpster fire. They've got 28 points or something like that. They've got no points. 22, excuse me. So they're even worse.
Don't make fun of 22 points. We have 23, so tread lightly.
Bro, could you see a world where Manchester United and Manchester City get relegated from the Premier League in one season?
It would be... Wow, we would actually have to do a live podcast of us celebrating.
We're talking about getting together in Charlotte for a Red Card Radio end of the season bonanza. If there is a world where Manchester United are getting relegated on the final day, we are absolutely live streaming that. There's no, we'll figure out how to do it. I don't know how to do it, but we'll figure out how to do it. And
you know where my mind goes is, number one, my first thought was, man, do you know how fair the refereeing would be if they were both in the league, if they were both in the championship. And then my second thought was, wow, all those referees are going to have like a funeral procession when they get like they're going to be in mourning.
Oh, it's certainly not going to happen, but we can dream. A podcast can dream, right? Let's. I mean, obviously, we have to give Liverpool their plaudits. They are just trucking right along. They just keep picking up 3 points after 3 points. We had this kind of question about teams like Forest and Bournemouth. Forest are currently in third position. I saw a funny meme on Twitter that said it was a picture of the top four, and it said only one of these teams here hasn't won a Champions League, and it's not Nottingham Forest. And it was a dig at Arsenal. But like, Forest are in third, Bournemouth are in sixth, and they just keep trucking. I mean, Forest have won 4 in a row, and they've got Everton next. That's 5 in a row. Put a win in that column. Bournemouth haven't lost in 5. They've got Fulham next. That's a tough game. But like, these teams are trucking right along.
It just gets to a point when you say, well, if it walks like a duck, it swims like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yeah.
Like if it just keeps quacking, probably a duck. So, I mean, if Forest and Bournemouth just keep winning, they're probably a European team.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think we think about Forest and we're like, they're probably not going to finish in the Champions League spot. They're probably not going to finish in the top 4, but who knows? I mean, this is a world where since Chelsea have rebounded, let me put it this way. In the last 2 seasons, we've seen a non-traditional Big 6 team finish in that last Champions League spot. Newcastle 2 years ago, Villa this last year. And so if we continue that trend, could it be Forest? Could it be Bournemouth? Would it be Newcastle again? All of these teams are kind of sniffing around. And so I think all 3 of them have a very legitimate shot. Now, of course, City are still floating around there. And so you don't want to discount City. But like there is a world where one of those 3 teams pips City for that 4th position. And that would be, could you imagine Nottingham Forest in the Champions League again? That's history right there. That's football heritage, as our friends would say.
I was just amusing myself with the thought of Man City flying to Kazakhstan for a Thursday night Conference League game.
I mean, at that point, they're close enough to the mother state. They could just go take a weekend trip to Dubai and to the Emirates, to the United Arab Emirates, and go see the shareholders and go see the. Conference.
It would be an epic matchup of the Man City of England and the Man City of Azerbaijan. That would be an epic matchup.
Oh man, but we got to remember they can't qualify for Europe if they're in the championship. So
that's true. So maybe they get relegated.
All right. Match week 19 coming up, or excuse me, round 19, as we are adopting the round nomenclature instead of match week because round is a lot more. It's a lot clearer. But so this weekend it starts Sunday. It goes Sunday, Monday, skip Tuesday, back again on Wednesday. Probably, the most interesting matchup is Manchester United versus Newcastle United. But there is this tricky Spurs-Wolves match that we kind of need to address because I've had this issue, this conundrum over the last couple of years with our picks is that I used to, to my fault, I kept picking Wolves. And at a certain point, I had to say, you know what? I can't pick Wolves anymore. They keep letting me down. Stop picking Wolves. And so now I almost never pick Wolves. And I'm getting to a point now where I do that with Spurs. I keep picking Spurs and I keep getting burned. So who am I supposed to pick in this Spurs-Wolves match?
Draw.
Oh, you're such a fence sitter.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
That's why you're in second and I'm in last. So
I don't know, James. I would love to tell you how Spurs are going to win this game, but I truly do not know. We still at this point when this game will be played, the January window will not have been open, so we still do not have a center back.
True.
although both of our center backs are supposed to be back the first week of January, maybe, because well, no, I was gonna say there's soft tissue issue, but I think just Van de Ven is a soft tissue.
What happened with
Romero was an ankle, foot, something. I think something broke.
As someone who has recently broken their fibula, I was up and walking in like 4 days after surgery. Granted, I'm not a professional footballer, and I'm not expected to run and go sliding into tackles. I just have to chase a 1-year-old around.
Or change direction.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Van de Ven was a soft tissue, but I think Romero broke his foot or ankle or something along those lines. But they are both slated to come back soon, so hopefully we'll have center backs again. Because we can't even use our fake center back, which is Ben Davies. We can't even use him because he also hurt himself.
Oh gosh. Has there been any rumblings or like talk about who Spurs are targeting for center backs? Because they've started asking Arteta these questions about who their Arsenal are going to sign. He's like, I just got to try and make it work with what we have. So I'm not expecting a very active January from Arsenal. But has there been any like rumblings and talkings about like?
You can't trust all of the rumors.
Sure.
But the only one I've seen fairly consistently is Skriniar from Milan.
Okay.
I believe he's still in Milan. Let me take a quick look.
There's 2 teams in Milan, so you're casting a wide net there.
No, it would be AC Milan or it would be Milan.
No, AC. It would be Milan. Generally refers to AC Milan. Inter generally refers to Inter.
And okay, so Inter. Inter was what I was going for, and I am a year too late. He just joined PSG last year, so and in 2 years or a year and a half, only 29 appearances. So maybe he's begging to get out.
So it's somebody you guys have been linked to in the past, and those links have resurfaced. Trying to sign somebody from PSG seems unlikely, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath, but that's the most reoccurring rumor.
Got it. But you're not super confident against Wolves at home.
What about our recent form or recent games would give you confidence that we can beat Wolves?
Well, so okay, let me look at Spurs' last 5. You lost to Bournemouth, who we've talked about as reasonable. Chelsea, reasonable. You smashed Southampton. You got smashed by Liverpool, and you lost to Forest. And now you've got Wolves. Wolves, they're in the lower half of the table like Southampton. So you guys are going to score 8 goals against them.
Could I remind you of the first time we played Palace and Ipswich?
Hold on. Let me also look at your goal difference. Yeah, this is another one. You guys are going to have to pump your goal difference up a lot to get back into the higher echelons of goal difference. So this has like a 5 or 6 goal win for Tottenham all over it, so that you can have that insanely inflated goal difference, but still have a losing record.
I am so glad that you have confidence in us.
Yeah, screw it. I'm picking Spurs again. I just convinced myself. I just convinced myself that I'm picking Spurs again. Write it down. Put it in the Discord now. I'm picking Spurs again. Should we expect more misery from City against Leicester?
Oh, man. A relegation team against a relegation team? Yeah, I think we all expected Leicester to be a little bit better than they are. And
I certainly did. I don't remember where I picked them, but
they just aren't.
No,
they're not very good.
I think this is one where City score about 4 and win the game pretty handily, and everything starts to look rosy again for them.
Yeah, they're getting off the schneid on this one.
Let's look at this Manchester United Newcastle game, because United are on a torrid run of form. They are, like 1 win out of 5, and 4 other games are losses against Newcastle, who have won their last 3. Newcastle, to me, they're in a very strong position right now. They're flying. It's interesting about Newcastle because if you asked us 2 months ago, and it's funny because Joel was very doom and gloom about Newcastle just like a few weeks ago. He was talking about, he was wondering whether or not Eddie Howe would get sacked. And now Newcastle are up to 5th. They're in the semifinals of the Carabao Cup. Ostensibly, they're doing everything that they should be doing. And so, like, clearly this is Newcastle's game to lose, I think. It's at Old Trafford, but that hasn't really been a fortress for United over the last few years. They're very beatable at Old Trafford. So I'm looking at this matchup. I look at it on paper and I say, oh, Manchester United versus Newcastle. But honestly, I'm feeling Newcastle in this match.
Yeah, I agree. Old Trafford is as holy as its roof. There's gaps, there's holes that goals can be scored. Refs aren't afraid to referee there anymore, as they used to be. It is as pedestrian as the City Ground or the King Power. Or just name another stadium; it doesn't really matter. But it is not, as you said, the fortress. I'm on Newcastle as well. I think they're just gonna overpower United.
I think you'd be crazy to pick United in this current run. Ruben Amorim he's kind of come out and he's like, well, look, we can do one of two things. We can abandon the way I want to play football and restart in the summer and just try to grind out results, or we can use the next 6 months to really hone in and figure out how we want to play football, how to really build our identity, and then attack the summer already having a brand, already having an identity. And I'm sure that, United supporters would rather grind out some victories and get some points and skip this painful period. But I think that they really need the pain right now before, if they're expected to really push on under Amorim and really develop the same kind of intensity that they had at Sporting, then they really need to just support him and push on with him, or they're going to be in the same carousel that they've been on for the last 10 years, 15 years, it seems like. And they'll be firing Amorim in 18 months and looking for the next hotness, whoever that is. Maybe it's Ruud van Nistelrooy again after a spell at Leicester or something. Who knows? And then speaking of another pedestrian ground, finished the weekend, the New Year's Day fixture from the G-Tech, Brentford versus Arsenal. This, I think, is a difficult match for Arsenal.
Yeah, how hungover are your players?
I don't necessarily think it's a hangover thing. I think Brentford is a difficult ground to go to. Thomas Frank generally cooks up something difficult for Arteta in the past, and I think that that this could be a very difficult game for Arsenal to win. I think didn't Brentford beat Newcastle just like a week and a half ago or something like that, or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, the key to beating Brentford is just don't allow Mbeumo to score in the first 3 seconds.
Yeah,
that's the key. If
True.
you just prevent that, then you can win.
Win the coin toss, collect the ball, and play possession for the first 5 minutes, and
that's it.
Then start playing the game. Yeah, okay.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
I guess you're picking Arsenal then.
Yeah.
You'll have to wait to see my pick in that match. And if you want to see those picks, you'll have to join our Discord. That's where we put all of our picks in, and you can do it too. If you're new to us, if you're new to this Red Card Radio family, join our Discord. It's in the description of this video or the podcast. We have a channel dedicated to getting picks in, and we'll add you to the spreadsheet like we did for Meg this week, and we'll see how you pick. Now, obviously, if you're joining now, you won't have the same raw number of picks, but we're implementing a percentage, like your pick percentage as well this year. So instead of just the raw number of picks, we'll also take a look and see who has the highest pick percentage, and that will, maybe you'll earn some bragging rights there. But if you want to do that, that's in the description of this video. You can get onto our Discord, get your picks in. Hit us up on social media, because that's all we got for today. That guy's at Whiteheart_Sean. He's over there. I'm at James Tiffany. Collectively, we're at Redcard_Radio. If you want to hit up Brad and you're a Chelsea supporter, he is at KSBradG. And check back next week. We will have a full slate of Red Card Radio. That's the review episode on Wednesday, preview on Friday. We're looking forward to it. Thanks so much for sticking it out. If you've been listening the whole time, we really appreciate it. Hit that share button. It really helps us out. And we will be back next week with more Premier League football. Until then, I hope you have a great one. Enjoy the football, and we will see you all soon. Thanks so much.